Sunny bhai, we are starting our discussion with MS Dhoni. I can already hear people saying, look how it's a slap on his critics' face. But I'll put the question to you differently. Has he done what you, me, and probably every Indian fan knows he's capable of doing tonight, rather than answer his critics?
Well, answering the critics has never been Mahendra Singh Dhoni's style. I think he goes out to play his best for India. That's what he likes to do. I don't think he really actually is bothered too much about what people are saying, because he knows that cricket is a passion in this country. And when a game is a passion, there will be, diverse opinions about this and that. And particularly if you're one of the leading players, somebody who's done well over the years, then you're going to come in for a bit of flack when the expectations are not met. So I'm not really expecting Mahendra Singh Dhoni to turn down and say to the critics, look, this is a slap on your face. No, it's not his style at all. I think he'll just be focusing on what to do in the next match, what sort of combination to have in the next match. It was a bold decision to make 3 changes. I think those changes work for him. And therefore, I think he'll be thinking, do I need to go in with 3 seamers for the next game at Rajkot? We don't know what the pitch in Rajkot is. But going by what has happened in Ranji Trophy, where Ravindra Jadeja has taken so many wickets, I think he'll want to go in with an extra spinner.
Right. So you say it right when you say he's not going to be bothered with what people are saying. Having known him for years, he's not the ones really to pay attention to that. Though today, maybe inadvertently, he said it in his press conference that we are always under pressure, but it's the media who ends up putting more pressure on us.
Well, I think that's because, once again, because of the popularity of the game, and therefore the media is there in full strength. The media is doing what it thinks that is right for them. It might not necessarily be right for an individual. It might not necessarily be right for the team. But they are doing what they think is, right. And I don't think, you should question this, because we are in a democratic, society, and everybody has a right to their opinion. So my honest advice is, I think we should all just move on, not really worry. It was a splendid victory by the Indian team. They've leveled the series, and now the series is open, and I think we are in for a real cracker of a series, going by what we have seen in the first 2 one-day games. Both those games have run very, very close, and which means the teams are well matched, and therefore I think this is going to be a real cracker of a series.
Okay, Saib, I know all batsmen love scoring hundreds, but some knocks are better than hundreds, even though they fall short of that 3-figure mark. Was Dhoni's 92 today one such knock?
Yes, I think worth 3 figures. But when you're batting down the order and you suddenly find that you've got very little support from those coming after you, then it becomes a little bit difficult. I think if you're batting in the top 3, then there's a great opportunity to score hundreds, because you get the bulk of the overs to bat. But when you're batting 4 and sometimes even 5, then it's very, very difficult to get 100. I would imagine that this 92 is worth almost 140 or thereabouts, because of the circumstances in which he came into bat and the way he carried the team on his shoulders.
Right. And not just the performance of MS Dhoni, would you agree that this win couldn't have come at a better time for the Indian team, keeping in mind that they've lost all their games so far and it's a long series ahead?
Absolutely. I think the way they kept their head up, because they weren't defending a big total, and the way the South Africans had batted at Kanpur, at Green Park Kanpur, notching up over 300 runs. So clearly, I think the South Africans were very, very, very confident of combating this Indian attack. The pitch had no real devils. There was just a little bit of turn, not much of turn. So yes, I would imagine that the South Africans would have said that 247 really shouldn't be too much of a sweat. But because the Indians stuck to it, didn't give up, they fielded well, they took their opportunities, kept the pressure on, they came out on top.
Okay, the other things I've been scratching my head over is, we live in times where 300 is now par score. On top of that, there were no visible demons on the pitch in Indore. At least we couldn't see it on the TV. Then how did 247 prove to be the winning total today?
I think to a certain extent you've got to say that the pressure that is created when you don't get off to a good start. And of course, in the middle order, you need to have a steadying influence, as well as somebody who at one end who can dominate. That didn't quite happen for both the teams. MSD played an innings for India, but there wasn't anybody who played a similar kind of innings. And I think another factor, an important factor, but which is not easily noticeable, is that we had pretty much longer boundaries by a few meters, and that makes a difference. Because the shot that de Kock, for example, got out caught could have been a 6 on any other ground.
Right, that's a very interesting point. Longer boundaries, which we are not accustomed to seeing now in at least Indian grounds. Did today's performance, and I'm talking about the low-scoring encounter, also highlight the importance of playing 5 bowlers today, because India went in with pure 5 bowlers and not necessarily an all-rounder?
Yes, I think they were wanting somebody like Akshar Patel and Harbhajan Singh to come to the party with the bat. While that didn't quite happen, I think that is something that they'll look to do, and I think including Amit Mishra for the next game at Rajkot, where it's supposed to be a turner. I think it'll mean that the batting will get just a little more depth, because Amit Mishra, we all have seen, can bat quite a bit.
Okay, and one final question, Saima, before I let you go, and this is with regards to the standard of umpiring, especially Vinit Kulkarni, because, I'm not talking about the decision today that went against South Africa. We already heard it, that the Indian team has launched an official complaint against him for decisions that went against them. So, at the end of the day, it's pretty much even as far as the wrong decisions have gone for both teams. But the standard of umpiring, what did you make of that?
Well, I don't think there's been too much to complain. Yes, the odd decision is going to go wrong, because that's the nature of sport. Batsmen hit full tosses straight to the fielders, get out. Bowlers bowl bad balls. Good fielders drop catches. Wicket keepers drop catches and miss stumpings. So that can happen. So if Vinit Kulkarni, and that can happen not just in a match, but it can happen in a series. You can have a bad patch. So if the Indian team feels that he's had a bad run, perhaps the authorities might take note of it. And I'm pretty certain if the Indians, I don't know whether the Indians have lodged an official complaint,
right? But
if they have, then after today's game, maybe even the South Africans will join. So maybe we might see a new umpire for the next game.